Hi, and welcome to the Valorous Podcast, where we interview local businesses and find out how it is that they've built successful businesses in your area. So today, I'm really blessed to have the opportunity to speak with Blaine Kellermeyer from Kellermeyer Plumbing. Blaine and I have known each other for a number of years, and Blaine has built an amazing plumbing business. And today, he's going to share a little bit about that with us. So, Blaine, thanks so much for joining us today. We're really glad to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jonathan. I appreciate the opportunity to maybe help others with maybe this.
Absolutely. Well, Blaine, for those of us that don't, or those that don't know much about Kellermeyer Plumbing, tell us just a little bit about your business, who you focus on, and maybe a little bit about how you've grown over the years. Because I know since I first met you, the business has really grown tremendously.
So I started the business in 1996. I was a journeyman or a master plumber for another company, and in '96 had an opportunity to start my own business and do that contractors work. And so we primarily did all new construction at that time. Kept us extremely busy in the 90s. The economy was just booming. So 96 took off, started our business, got our business affairs in order, and hit the road running. Very successful out of the gate because of the economy. Did very well. And as we've transitioned through the years, we've now transitioned into more of a diversified company. So we do primarily service work, water treatment, sewer and drain cleaning, remodel, and new construction. Currently, I have 7 trucks on the road and a dozen employees. I'm very blessed to have every one of them. They do a great job for me. And last year we celebrated 25 years in business.
Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I know, what was it, about 4 or 5 years ago that you guys built a brand new building and moved and it really expanded your operation. Was that about the right time frame there?
That's correct. Yes. About 5 years ago, we moved out of our backyard. We actually had a pole barn and an office in our backyard for 20 years and decided it was time to get into a building where I could actually go home at night instead of having my office in my backyard. It was one of the biggest things I had ever took on in my life, I'll be honest with you. But it was also one of the best things that ever happened to us as well. In 5 years, the business has doubled in size, and so it's been a fantastic journey going through that.
So, Blaine, talk to us a little bit. Obviously, a number of the people that are watching the podcast may be working from home, or certainly it's become even more popular through the whole COVID situation and all that. What caused you to say, hey, it's time to, you had a really nice pole barn office. I remember coming into your offices for the first time and they were really professional and set up. What caused you to say, hey, I think we need to move out of the backyard and into another location? I'm guessing you don't have a ton of walk-in traffic per se based on your business. So what caused you to make that decision?
The biggest thing that caused us to do that was the fact is that we were running out of space. At that time, we only had 3 trucks on the road and office space was reasonably small. And so in order to keep things more business-like and make so that my neighbors and all didn't have a whole bunch of commercial trucks in the backyard, and respect for them. And also it was time for us to be able to have our home and not have trucks driving in all the time. So it was timing, and we found a piece of land and decided that we were going to build a building, and we did that. We had actually built it with extra space so that we could use it as some rental income as well, or leasing space. So that's helped support the building along with us being in it.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned your business has almost doubled since then. Do you think that move obviously helped the rest of your team as well in leading that? And what other aspects maybe helped you think to double your business since that move?
No question at all. It allowed us to become more diversified, have more space, and then the visibility of where we put it, where we built the building here in Rockford on Northland Drive. At the time, there was over 12,000 cars that drove by every day. I don't know what the current count is, but so the visibility was huge. I was doing business in my backyard for years and years. very active in my community. And I still have people say, oh, where did you come from? So they didn't recognize us because we weren't visible. So there's a lot to the fact that visibility is a huge part of being able to grow a business.
In fact, that was one of the things I was going to ask. I know you've been for years involved in the community and the chamber, and if I'm not even mistaken, serving on the chamber board for a number of years. And it does sound like you did find people that even though you'd been in the community, really in the community for 20 years, that still didn't necessarily know you were there or weren't aware that you existed, but then did once you moved. So I always find that really intriguing that we can work in an area for a long time, especially as a local business, think that, wow, everybody must know who we are because we've been here for so long, only to find out that not so simple, but that move made a huge difference in just visibility for your business in general.
It was a reality check, Jonathan. Actually, we didn't realize that was a part of it. And so branding has been very important to us. And so we've created a brand and a name and a reputation. And it's all come together as a package over the years, but definitely moving into a visible place was definitely a huge part of that process.
I really appreciate you sharing that. Blaine, can you share with me over the years? Obviously, now you've had 25 years plus in business. Along the way, I know it's not always roses. Can you think of a difficult experience that you've had to traverse either in building the business or in growing the business? And maybe how did you overcome that as a business owner?
Growing the business was a matter of being willing to become diversified for us. Probably one of the things that just happened for us was in the mid 2000s, 2006, 7, something told me that we needed to start diversifying a little bit. And so I started creating more of a service business and a little bit more economy proof. People always need a plumber, or they always need service work. Something's always breaking, dripping. And so we started buying vans instead of pickups and creating more of a service business. So sewer and drain cleaning was actually the first thing that we went into, so that we do camera locating, cleaning sewers, and then went on from there. That was a blessing in disguise, because when 08, 9, 10 hit, the economy hit everybody really hard. We were diversified enough to make it through it and be actually profitable during that time.
Really good advice. And I think one thing that we often don't always think about as we're growing our businesses is how valuable it can be to think about in an economic downturn or in economic change, how do we set our businesses up to thrive in those scenarios? Because I know that was good not only for the business, but provided a lot of security for your team at that time too, which is really, I know, important to you as well. Talk to me a little bit just from a sales pitch perspective, apart from growing the business, Blaine. What makes Kellermeyer the plumber that I should come to when I need service? Why Kellermeyer over, the other plumbers in the area?
I feel like we're very transparent with our customers. We give recommendations, or we want to do this, we want to do the job right or correctly. Sometimes people don't want to do the right thing because of the cost, and we do understand that, but we don't like to play that, because in the long run, that's gonna hurt us. And the fact that they always forget that it was their decision to not do it the way it needed to be. So we're not perfect in any imagination. We do make mistakes just like everybody else, but we do our best to do the right thing by the customer and stand behind our work and what we do.
I appreciate you sharing that. That makes me think, I think all of us as business leaders run into situations, Blaine, when we know, as based on experience and our professional experience, that there is a better way to do something than maybe what the client wants to invest in or the customer wants to spend. How have you found it success in encouraging those customers, especially with plumbing, when I can imagine there's always the good, the better, and the best, and maybe not the need to go to the best, but at least to get to the good? How have you helped your customers understand that, hey, you need to trust us in this situation, and spending a bit more money now is going to save you money in the long run? What have you found to be an effective way to encourage those clients to make the right choice versus necessarily the cheap choice?
Again, I think it's the transparency, explaining to them the effects of that decision and in the long run. If we happen to be doing something that's going to be concealed, you can't get to later behind walls, put the money there now and do it the right way there. You can always, change out a faucet or do something, decorate, whatever, later down the road and maybe save some money on the exterior, like fit faucets or something like that. But good infrastructure is important and do it right. So we try to do our best to talk people into most degree, and they understand once it's explained to them. We're very transparent on how we charge, and we explain to them that we all need to make money, and we're licensed tradesmen, so we just try to do the right thing by the customer.
It sounds like a lot of focus, if I'm hearing you right, Blaine, on value. In other words, let's not just focus on the cost today, but let's focus on the lifetime value, especially with the type of infrastructure that you're typically installing. I'm not going to need a new water heater next year if I buy one from you this year, assuming I buy the right one. That's going to be a decade or multi-decade investment for me, so that value really has an opportunity to shine through.
Yep, absolutely.
I know there's a lot of reasons that we as business owners go into business and we start businesses other than just the profit motive. Can you share with us a little bit, Blaine, other than obviously the desire to create a profitable business, which is certainly important, and I don't want to take anything away from that, but what are some of the other reasons that you're in business and that you're in business for yourself?
I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always loved my town, and I wanted to just create my legacy for the future and giving back to the community. This has allowed me to do that. It allowed me to afford to do that. We have a dozen employees that they're like family. We take good care of them. We provide to them, and they do a great job. It's a great team. So that's what it's about. You're right, Jonathan. It's not really all about the money. It's about the fact that you can help people and you can help your community.
And you led me into one of my next questions. I appreciate that. I hadn't even told you where we were going with this, but one of the issues I think we're all struggling with right now as business leaders is finding good team members. It's gotten a lot harder over the last couple of years, and I know you've really created an amazing work environment at Kellermeyer. Can you talk to me a little bit and share some of your tips for creating the best work environment for your team and what type of difference that has in helping you grow and keep your business functional?
Sure. We're super blessed we have the new building. We maintain our image as a company. My guys drive really nice trucks, which back to image a little bit. They get washed every week on Saturdays and waxed twice a year. People recognize that. They say, man, I see your trucks everywhere on the road. And I was been hearing that even when I only had 2 trucks on the road. So you keep them clean, make them good, leave a good image, and people notice that. But getting back to your regular or your question, Jonathan, lost it.
No, that's all right. Again, from an environment perspective, any tips on creating a great team environment for your team?
Socially. So team environment, treat everybody like a family. We all treat each other like we want to be treated. We socialize together at times. We provide them a great workplace. We give them make sure that the family is taken care of first with every one of them. It's not just about us. It's about the whole team, and we make sure that their needs are taken care of as well.
That's a really excellent share. I appreciate that. And I know it's, again, we mentioned, so much more important nowadays, or as important as ever. Changing gears just a little bit, talking to maybe someone that's beginning their entrepreneurial journey and starting a business. Blaine, with your experience, do you have a single piece of advice or a couple quick pieces of advice that you could give that startup entrepreneur in terms of business strategy or things that they should stay focused on to be successful and make it the 25 plus years that you have, which is in and of itself, that's I gotta believe less than 1% of businesses make it that far. What advice would you give somebody new?
The advice I would give somebody right out of the gate is to hire people that do what they do. Meaning, the first person I hired was a CPA, and he gave us direction on what we needed to do so that we were not surprised at the end of the year with taxes and things like that. So, good CPA, good insurance people that are going to be on your team, take care of you, and concentrated on doing what you do best and what got you to where you got your license and got you to where you want to go and do. So I call it surround yourself with the smart people, and that'll take you do the right thing, and that'll take you way further than trying to do it all, because we can't do it all. So do what you do, work really hard, and surround yourself with smart people, and take it in steps. First 5 years is the first goal. Get through the first 5 years, work really hard, and then the next goal, mine was 10, and then from 10 to 20, I don't really know what happened those years because they just flew by. It's concentrate in small pieces and accomplish what you want to do, and like I said, hire people and have good people around you.
Really good advice. I appreciate that. So one of the other things we love to do is there's always a behind the scenes aspect to all of our businesses, things that we run into that nobody thinks about. As you think back, and I know I've not prepped you for this question, but can you think of any bizarre experiences that you've had? I can only imagine in the plumbing industry, some of what those might have been, but any bizarre experiences that you could share with us, and anything that might be interesting for the viewers and the listeners to hear?
Like job site experiences,
Yeah, something work related that was just we'd never expect. But as a plumber, you run into things like this, and again, maybe there's not. I didn't prep you at all, so if there's nothing comes to mind, that's fine. But
the thing I can say is that I don't think there's anything really specific. There's a ton of things that we do, that we run into, or that we see, or that we get called in to fix, and it's pretty amazing how people will spend a lot of money running to the hardware to fix something, and then end up having to, call somebody in to fix it after they get done. So some of the things that we take out that get brought back to the shop that we throw away, we always said we should probably put that on a wall of shame, just jokingly, because it's funny to see how somebody else would try to make the repair. And so it's very interesting. Nothing really in specific, but we could probably write a book.
I can imagine I might have been one of those stories. I think one of the first times I got introduced to you guys from a service perspective, that you came out to fix the underwater or under sink drain that I had attempted to repair. And I'm sure that was good for a few laughs for your service tech at the time, because it's not the type of stuff I know how to do. But one last question, and we just love to ask a random question. I use a random question generator, so I didn't pick anything out specifically here. Don't know if it'll apply at all or not. But Blaine, do you have any TV shows that you secretly enjoy that maybe nobody but you and your wife know you like to watch?
I'm gonna say no for myself, to be honest. I'm not a huge TV person. I'm not gonna say I don't watch it, but I'm more of when I do finally sit down and relax at night, I'm more of a sit down with my iPad and research things and just slow my day down that way. And TV's, my wife's watching that. She's got her favorite shows, but I just kind of always Googling or researching something that pops into my head. I don't know. That's just kind of how I slow my day down.
Oh, I can appreciate it. I'm not dissimilar myself. We chuckle around the Mast household because I tend to grab my iPad, start doing a Google search of something, anything along those lines. And I'll share, at least in my case, the one that surprised me the most is my wife's been watching reruns of The Love Boat from back in the 70s and 80s. And I got to admit, I enjoy them. It's been so long. It's weird how that works.
Yeah.
So one, and I said one last, and I lied to you. My producer just came up with a good question I want to ask as well. As you're working with the tools that you have and things like that, could be plumbing related, just could be general tools related. Do you have a favorite brand or a favorite tool that you would recommend to others, either in your industry or in similar industries, that they consider using?
I would say that in today's market, probably the major brand that's most of the guys are buying is Milwaukee tools. The thing that I'm transitioning from is that back when I started, everything had a cord on it. They all laugh at me. And today, pretty much everything's cordless. And I'll admit, it's pretty amazing equipment. It's been a difficult transition for me to change a little bit. Well, I don't get to touch the tools much anymore, but making that transition to the cordless world was a big deal. But I'd say
Oh,
Milwaukee was
absolutely. And I'm not a huge tool guy, so I don't know. But just curious, what makes Milwaukee the popular brand that it is? Any feedback on that?
it's the variety of different tools that are offered. I used to be just cordless drills or sawzalls. Now our expanding tools, pipe cutters, it's endless. Drain cleaning equipment. So they're really hitting the ground hard and running and trying to become one of the big tool providers for the trades in general, not just plumbing. You name it, they probably make it. So it's crazy how that's grown.
No, that's a great share, and I really appreciate that, Blaine. Thank you again so much for your time today to share with us, to share about what's made you successful over the 20 plus years you've been in business. And let me encourage any of you, if you're in the West Michigan marketplace and need a plumber, Blaine and his team are absolutely fantastic. And I know they serve with not only a lot of professionalism, but a lot of transparency and integrity as well. So I know my personal endorsement absolutely goes out to you guys for anything plumbing related. Blaine, any parting words you'd like to leave the entrepreneurs watching or anyone else watching? Any parting words you'd like to leave them with?
If I would always encourage, I love to mentor young business people and love to see them thrive. So if you're in my area or if you just want to sit and chat over a cup of coffee, I always take time for you. I love to help people be successful in business, or at least share what I did, and hopefully it can help you. So.
Oh, that's an incredibly generous offer. Blaine, thank you for that. And certainly very true. I know you've been uh, able to share just some amazing things with even me as we've known each other over the last number of years on that journey. So truly grateful for that. Grateful for your time today, and wish you the best as the weather's warming up. Hopefully you get a chance to enjoy some of that.
Absolutely. This is our time of year. We're looking forward to getting back outside, and the daylight at night is awesome. So
It
yeah.
is.
So
Awesome. Blaine, thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
appreciate it, John. Thanks for your time.
You too. Bye-bye.